Here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven, how do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. You know, it seems like every week and every show that the bar is raised even farther because of the guests that we get to have on this amazing show and channel. And I appreciate all of you for coming on. You are going to be amazed, especially by this young man you are about to meet. His name is George Brooke. We'll call him David Brooke or David or whatever he wants me to call him, because you know what? I respect him and I want to do the best by him. And he is an amazing man, instantly likable. You're going to love him. And he's got experience and background of running a successful business and in doing it in such a wonderful way that it just exudes joy at every turn. And you're going to really feel that when we bring him on. And by the way, he is coming on very, very soon. And in fact, I see him in the green room there. He's scratching at the monitor right now saying, "Come on, Brian, let me in. I'm ready. And just a minute, David, we'll bring you on. Don't worry." He's not. He's just having a good time, smiling, waiting to come on. The Mind Body Business Show. It is a show that I had developed literally with you in mind. And that is the small business owner or large business owner. It really doesn't matter where you are in your walk and your journey in entrepreneurship. You could be, I don't know where to start. I need a business idea. It could be you're in the middle of your business and you're already growing and you're looking for that next tip to get to the next stage, or you may be crushing it and you're ready to sell maybe and then start something new. It doesn't matter where you are in the spectrum, because you will get something from this show because of George Brooke, because he has a wealth of experience and information he's going to bring to the table, and we're going to have a lot of fun extracting the wonderful wisdom nuggets from his beautiful brain. And so Mind Body Business is literally what I call the 3 pillars of success. In fact, this is a brand new announcement. Just announced it a couple shows ago. It is based on this book that I started writing. I started penning this over 10 years ago. And this show is just over 5 years old. And so this book inspired this show. And because it took that 10 years, many of the guests I've had on my show have inspired a good portion of the content that's in this book. And it's about what I call the 3 pillars of success, and that is mindset. It's about successful individuals that I had studied for about 10 years, just focused on successful people. And to a person, you know, these 3 things kept bubbling up to the top in commonality. Mind stands for mindset. To a person, they each have very positive, powerful, and most importantly, flexible mindsets. Body is that each of these individuals literally take care of themselves physically and through nutrition. And then business is multifaceted, which is where most people start. And they like, how do I do sales? How do I do marketing? How do I turn that crank? How do I keep doing the mechanical stuff? Well, it's actually more important to get your mind and body in place first. And I personally didn't learn that till about the age of 47. And that's why I love doing what I do, writing this book, doing this show, to help you take that take that shortcut to success and start with a good foundation with your mind and body. Because like I like to say, the mind and body are a team. More importantly, the mind and body are your team. And if any one member of that team is not operating at a peak level of performance, well, then guess what? The team as a whole, i.e. you, are not operating at a peak level of performance. And then you go into business where these individuals had figured it out. They had mastered all the various skill sets that are necessary to build a successful business and then to scale it and grow it. Skill sets like marketing, sales, team building, systematizing, leadership. I could go on and on and on. And you're probably thinking, holy moly, if I have to master all these skill sets, I'll never make it. It'll take forever. And you might be right if you were alone. If you just focused on one skill set, and it was one of those very few I just rattled off, if you just focus on one skill set and work toward mastering it, even before you've completely mastered it, you can leverage it and bring in individuals who have mastered those skill sets that you have yet to master. And let's face it, or you may never, because of the time it takes to master any one. So if you were just to focus on one skill set, pump the brakes on the others, doesn't mean completely abandon them, but focus on the skill set of leadership, then you can use that and leverage in and bring those people in who have mastered things like marketing, sales, systematizing, and the like. And that is your golden nugget of the evening. Just from me, wait till you get to see David George Brooke. And speaking of the very successful people I've basically ran around with, I've had mentors that I've worked with directly. I've also read books from individuals, met the authors, and all of that. And so it's very important to have these people in your circle. And one thing I found that to a person these very successful people also did was they were also very avid readers of books. And with that, I want to segue very quickly into a little segment I affectionately call Bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
There you see it, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. If you're watching live on the Mind Body Business Show or you're watching the recording, highly recommend you come watch live like so many are right now. And that is go to themindbodybusinessshow.com and scroll down. You'll see lots of buttons that all say how and where to watch. Click on any one of those, enter your information, and we will notify you automatically about the moment we are going live so that you don't miss an episode. You can engage with us, comment with us, ask questions, and one lucky winner will win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort, compliments of Reach Your Peak. And so you do not want to miss that either. And you must be watching live in order to enter. And we know who you are. We have ways. I'm just kidding. We do know. We have a good idea. And so another thing I really, really quickly want to point out is when speaking from stage in my career, especially in the very beginning, I'd be getting to that juicy spot. You know, I'm doing the presentation. I know where the big heavy hitting points are of my own presentation that can give that person the greatest amount of value to help them with themselves and their business. And I remember in the very beginning, I would notice I'm getting to that spot and someone would get up and walk out, staring at their phone, that all important text message, or they would get up and they would walk out very gingerly with their legs crossed because they had to use the restroom. And so I learned at an early stage, especially with help from my mentor who trained me on all of this, was to pre-frame the audience, let them know that the magic happens in the room. And so for you, this is a virtual event. This is not in a room. I get that. For you, my pre-framing would be to keep your focus on David George Brooke, because it would just be a travesty if you happen to go run away and start typing in something like reachyourpeaklibrary.com and analyzing it while he's talking. And you'll go, wait, what did he just say? I missed that. And that could have just changed your life forever. And that's what happens. We as humans, we love to go off and research stuff. We're all multitaskers looking at stuff. Here's what I would implore of you. This is for you, not for me. And that is to get out a pen and a piece of paper or a notepad on your computer, whatever works for you, and take notes. Reachyourpeaklibrary.com. Great time to practice. Write that down. Then after the show is over, go back to your notes and visit all those resources and do that investigative work that you so desperately want and deserve to do. And so we're going to talk about books, all kinds of great stuff. So please do that for yourself. Real quick, Reach Your Peak Library. Finally, right? Hey, Brian's finally going to talk about the thing that's on the screen. Reach Your Peak Library is a resource that I had my team put together, again, with you in mind. And that is because I personally did not start reading voraciously until about the age of 47. And that was about 12 years ago. Yes, that was an intentional pause, so you can do the math. 59, approaching 60, and very happy about that. I'm not kidding. It's a victory. It is an awesome thing. And so these books are in here in no rhyme, nor reason. They're not alphabetic. They're basically kind of in the order I read them, and I would send them to my team. Add this one. And they're there because these are only the books that I read that had a profound impact on me, either professionally or personally, or both, usually both. And so not every book I've ever read is in here. And this is here as a resource to you so that you can actually go to one place and say, well, at least I know at least one person, one successful person vets these books. So the odds of my not wasting my time are very, very great. And that is why I did this. So you don't have to sift through the many, many awesome, amazing books that are out there. And by the way, these are not a complete list of every great book out there. They're just the ones I've read. And I'm way behind on updating this list, by the way. I've got quite a few more to add. But that is there for you, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. And speaking of being there for you, finally, Brian's going to bring on the real reason you are here. And that is Mr. David George Brooke. Should we do it? Should we bring him on? Yeah, let's do it. Here he comes.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the one. It is the only David George Brooke.
Brian Kelly, Mind Body Business Show. So happy to be here. Just love your energy. Just really happy to be on the program. And right back at you, especially on that topic of energy. I mean, when we first started talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this guy. Right off the bat. Oh my gosh, we already have people commenting. How you doing, Bob Hildberg? Yes, please comment. Please engage. Ask questions as we go through, and we'll give you a shout out because that's what this is all about. Bob Hildberg is watching on YouTube. Thanks, Bob. And so, David, this show is about you. It's not about me, even though it may not seem that way after that long intro. We're going to get into really finding out what makes David Brooke tick. What is it? What is it that makes you so amazing and so full of gratitude all the time? Uh-oh, I may have just given it away. Okay, it's under your name. You can see under the name, That Gratitude Guy. To me, it's all about gratitude, and it just changed my life. And it's a mindset. I call it an attitude of gratitude or a gratitude mindset. And having had a number of setbacks, tragedies, traumas, and things in my life, gosh, it was about 15 or 20 years ago when a friend of mine says to me, you need to get a gratitude journal. And it kind of started with that. And I said, what's that? And he said, well, it's a book you write in every day about what you're grateful for. And it just completely transformed my life. And it just gave me such a different viewpoint every day to focus on, the blessings and abundance that I had. One of my favorite sayings is gratitude turns what you have into enough. And it's just so important to focus on that glass half full. That's been an old wives' tale or whatever for years, but it makes sense. The glass is half full versus half empty. So that really got me started. I wanted to be a speaker way back when I was 19 years old. It took me like 45 years. You can do the math, as you said earlier, in terms of to really get the guts to do it. I was running Nordstrom stores and Lowe's home improvements, but I always wanted to be a speaker. And so that started it. Gratitude ended up being my topic, and I just ran with it. And now I think in the last 10 years, I've done like 700 talks or something. It's just it's not even a labor, but it's just what I love to do. And one of the biggest things that I get all the time is you change my life. And it just gives me the chills that any of us that are fortunate enough to do something like that, it's just, as I said, it gives you the chills. It's so cool to be able to impact people like that. I could not agree more. I mean, in my time working with an NLP seminar company, neuro-linguistic programming, same thing. From stage, you get to watch people's lives change in front of your eyes as you're taking them through different experiences and processes, and some cry, some smile, but it's all joy. And it's amazing. There's no better feeling on the planet than helping somebody to better their life, in my opinion. And that has nothing to do with money being exchanged at all. That would feed me for a long time. You just basically gave your bio in a very short period of time. That was pretty cool. I wanted to point out several other things that really stuck out with me is that you're the author of several published works, including the Gratitude Guy's Daily Gratitude Journal, Monday Morning Minutes, and 6-Word Lessons to Embrace Gratitude, among others. And I have a feeling we're going to hit on that gratitude thing pretty good and hard today. And I'm glad we are. I am very grateful that we're going to be talking about gratitude. Yes. And oh my goodness. And your smile, my God, I just saw for a millisecond as I looked over and I got this jolt of energy, man. I just love, I told you before we started, I said, David, I don't even know you, but I love you already. You're an amazing guy. Oh, this one's also really cool. If I may, yes. From your bio, this is pretty awesome. And that is, as a YouTube influencer, this guy right here, David
David Brooke, the guy you're looking at right now, has over 2,100. That's 2,100 gratitude videos on his channel. And his message has been viewed by thousands of people. And he is now considered, listen to this, a leading authority on how living a life of gratitude can enhance and improve both personal and professional lives. Oh, I cannot wait to dig in on this, all of it. And I want to open up with a really powerful question, if I may, David. And that is, you know, you've been around the block. You know that everything doesn't come that easy in life. It can come easier to some, depending on attitudes. And I'm sure we'll talk about that. But the real truth, the raw truth is anyone in business that has their own business that owns it understands the hurdles that must be cleared, the issues that must be righted and fixed, and all the things that go on with being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is like being a nonstop problem solver. Right. And so when you get up in the morning, this is the thing I'm really curious about, David, is when you get up in the morning, knowing all of those things are laid out in front of you, waiting for you, you know, the hurdles to jump over and the issues to take care of. There's a lot of fun stuff too. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But when you know that you have those arduous things that are there every single day, what is it going on in your big, beautiful brain as you're coming to that's keeping you driven, that's keeping you excited, that says, let's go get this. Let's go do some more of this. What is that driving force for you?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the biggest key components of that too is when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I learned how to fly. And one of the things they had is a pre-flight checklist. And they always had you check, for those of you that have gone around the plane and walked and checked all the wings and the reels and the motor and all these different things, is before you actually go up in the flight. So I developed what I call my power hour. And this happens before any electronic devices at all, any tablets, any phones, any desktops, anything like that. Get out of bed. And usually for me, it's about 6:30 or so. Make my bed, get the immediate dopamine hit, go in, turn on the coffee maker, drink my first of 4 quarts of water because you got to be really hydrated. So start with that water with some lime in it or whatever. Go in, take my shower, shave, get ready, get dressed, make the coffee, come back in, write in the gratitude journal. Oh, I just happen to have a gratitude journal here. That Gratitude Guys Daily Gratitude Journal. And that takes about 5 to 6 minutes. Go back and stretch. Go back into my bedroom, light a little candle and do a 15-minute meditation, walk in here, turn on the devices. So you've totally programmed yourself for success. And that where there's the water, I get the coffee because I like to make my little latte, but I'm grateful. And the gratitude journal is just so critical because there's a little saying on the second page and it says, if you think about it, it's like a dream. If you talk about it, it inspires you. But if you write about it, it empowers you. Now, this has a highlight of the day. I can bet you dollars to donuts. The highlight tomorrow morning on Today will be the Brian Kelly show. I was on the Mind, Body, and Business show. Will be where the highlight is down in the lower left-hand corner. But there was a day last week, and this is how powerful it is, and then I turn on my computer and I get to my day and I have all my list, everything's listed out. I've got to have the whole sheet from everything that goes from top to bottom that needs to be accomplished, which I do the night before. So I'm very disciplined around that. But I had a day about 2 weeks ago where I was really having a tough time and I was just kind of down in the dumps. And I thought, you know what? You better read your gratitude journal again. So I grabbed it. It's just over to my right. Open it up and reread what I wrote that morning. And typically I talk about my health. I talk about my 2 sons. I talk about my friends, my new friend, Brian Kelly. I talk about the fact that I got a roof over my head, food in the refrigerator, a hot shower I got to take, whatever it might be to keep me centered, because this whole crazy life is such a roller coaster ride. And Brian, you were talking, moving from California to Florida, and there's this kids in Nebraska and Florida. I mean, there's all these moving parts, and some days the days are great. Other days they're tough. So what do you do to get through that? And so that's how I really set up the day. And then it really always seems to get me. And I happen to look out. You were talking about looking out the sliding glass windows. I look out at Lake Washington here in Seattle. I can see the boats going by and so forth. And then I'm really set up for the day. And then having that to-do list, I just think this is so important, done the night before I go to bed. So for tomorrow morning, it's all ready, is so powerful because that's your game plan. That's after your pre-flight checklist. Then there's your flight plan to use where you're going to fly. And as I always learned, I apply a lot of things from flying because one of the things they would talk about now that you're on your flight plan, the thing you want to remember is you're going to have to make adjustments because there's going to be wind, there's going to be power, there's going to be drag, there's going to be all these things. So you make minor course corrections along the way. So you're never in a straight line. It's a little zigzag line. So, but that's basically how I set up my day. And I call it kind of setting it up for success.
I love it. All of it. I mean, come on. There was so much wisdom in that segment right there. We literally, I could just do a mic drop and say that's our show, and everyone would have enough to take it to the next level. I'm not kidding, because I mean, I told everyone I recommended they write notes. I'm running the dang show. I'm on it. The star of the show is David. I'm not the star. I'm the co-star, and I'm taking notes myself. And so many things that went through my mind as you were talking. The pre-flight checklist is a great one, because there are pilots that fly for a living, that do it every day, multiple times a day, that could go through every item without ever opening a checklist book and checking off each item. But guess what? They still do it. Why? There's always going to be that time when you miss one item, and it could be catastrophe for everybody on board. Exactly. And the same thing with business. If you're not prepared, I have a checklist for this very show, just to put that in perspective. And so, and then the power hour, that's the routine. So David, so many people I've interviewed. I've been doing this for over 5 years. I don't know how many 300 or so different interviews, which, it's once a week. It's a live video show. It takes a lot more effort to do that than an audio podcast. The thing is, though, I found so many successful people have routines. And what I like to tell folks is listen to what David's routine is. If you don't have one, implement it. See what you like. If you don't like certain things, come on and watch the next show, because there'll probably be another person telling about their routine. I've heard many, and I've heard some that do it only in the morning, some only at night, some both. You're both, and I love that. There's no wrong way to do it. The only right way is your way, as long as it does and gets you the result you're looking for. Let's see, you said, and then the flight plan and micro adjustments, minor course adjustments. Yeah. Here's the thing. It's a great analogy, by the way. I love that whole metaphor behind flight. And that is, if you're, say, in a ship. I'm in Florida. What the heck? Let's go to the ship. You got boats outside of you. If it's a sailboat and there's no wind pushing it, and you're turning to the right, you're turning to the left, are you changing your course direction? No, you can't. You have to be moving in the water in order to make that direction change. So it's okay if you start moving and you just don't happen to be going the right direction. The key is to move. The key is to take action. The key is to step out on that feared edge and say, I may not succeed. That's okay. But you have the ability to make those minor course adjustments. And you're going to do this a lot over time, to the point, and you'll get a point where you're right on course for some time, and then boom, it'll knock you off a little bit and you'll have to course correct. It never stops. The key is to move, to do something. If you sit idly doing nothing, you will gain nothing in life and in business.
And I'll add something too, Brian. That's a very, very big part of my day, which I didn't mention. The power hour is how I start it, and the list is everything ready to roll. So typically I give myself 6:30 to 6:30 when I shut down and go make dinner about 6:30 or 7. So that's 12 hours. And so every day I walk 7.5 miles. And the thing is, it takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And so I figure, well, if I've got 12 hours available to me, if I take 2 hours, that means I've got 10 hours left to do my work. But what is so great about it is I am just not a book reader, but I'm a huge Audible person. And you were going through all those books. Yeah. And you mentioned the ones in the last 10 or 12 or 13 years, you've all those become a voracious reader, I think you said. And I did the same thing. And I think at last count, I'm probably approaching 100 books on Audible. Now, I'll admit that some of them I got halfway through and just couldn't stay with it for whatever reason. So I didn't finish, but I'd say I finished half of them. But it's the thing that's so cool is you're getting this education, you're getting exercise, and it makes the 2 hours and 15 minutes seem like 45 minutes. It's just a mind blower. So that was a really helpful one too. And I think the other thing too, and I think about people say, I've had people say to me, were you in the service or something? And I wasn't. I was at a time when my friends were getting killed in Vietnam, and I had the student deferment, never ended up going, but I kind of wished I had, because I could have learned how to fly in the Navy and not had to do it myself. But it's interesting when you look back on that discipline and all of that stuff. It's just, what is discipline? Giving up, sacrificing something now for a greater gain later. So you sort of either have the discipline or you don't. And the only person that can help you with that is that person you see brushing your teeth in the morning. And that's why I know it seems like an advertisement, but the more you write in this gratitude journal, the more you'll have a positive relationship with the person in the mirror. The more of a positive relationship you have with the person in the mirror, the better your whole life works. And it's just like gives you Teflon or armor. So the negative gamma rays of life just bounce off you. So something to consider.
There's a lot of power in discipline. And I always used to say it the same way that you are saying it. And I probably said it already today once, and that is sacrificing. You must sacrifice. Well, I had someone kind of course correct me on that in a great, very powerful way and said, how about investing? So you're basically investing in yourself because what do you do? Why do you invest? It's to grow financially, to grow however. So it could be growing. Like if you invest in the stock market, you're hoping to get gains out of that, not losses. And so that's the exact opposite of sacrificing because there's pain involved. Investing, you don't really think about the pain. It's like, I'm doing this for myself to grow. Just like I invested to buy a book, or I invested to go on a course. I invested to become NLP certified. I invested to speak from stage all over the world, whatever. It's an investment. I thought, wow, what a great reframe. That is powerful.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, yeah. And Bob says, sacrifice now for a greater, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes. Sacrifice now, invest now, however you want to term it. It's just, the power of words. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, how about when you say, you know what? I can't talk right now. I have to go do the dishes. Well, what if you said instead, I get to go do the dishes?
Right.
What does that do to your subconscious mind? You're like, wait a minute. What did you say? Get, what does that mean? Oh, you're blessed that you have dishes to do. You have a sink, you have a house, you have water, you have, what does that imply? The undertow is magnificently powerful compared to I have to. So all these great little things you sprinkle through your life and learn and become habitual about it. Just like you said with discipline, it's an investment in having the most wonderful life you could ever dream of is what it is. That's all.
Well, and I think that's a great litmus test. Is it a have to or a get to?
Yeah.
And if it's a get to, you're in good shape. So yeah, that's neat.
Yeah. And here's what I love about life, man. I just never stop learning. I'll ask you, I ask this rarely, but David, we're all looking and striving to achieve more, to help more people, to maybe earn some more money so we can have more time freedom to be with our family, all kinds of things. What if, David, you got to that point where bonk, you hit the top. There's a ceiling and you cannot go any farther. You can't help any more people. You can't make any more money. You can't come up with any more ideas because you've done it all. You hit absolute perfection and you can't actually go any farther. Would that feel good to you or not good to you?
Well, that's a great question. And I would say not so much it probably wouldn't feel good to me as it's probably impossible because it's almost like infinity. You can't reach everybody. And when I think about some of the most exciting things that happened to you, the highlight of my day, that's in the gratitude journal. You write down what was the highlight of your day, which is why I'm going to write this podcast tomorrow morning when I talk about today. And I think about all these, you changed my life. And I wasn't going to come to the seminar. I wasn't going to come to the speech. And I did. And I'm so much better. I was depressed. I was down. Now I feel great. Can I buy 2 gratitude journals, whatever it might be? So that list of people is always out there. And I think one of the reasons it's really interesting is because I have a lot of friends at my age that are all fraternity brothers and friends that are all kind of retired. And I never realized how much we talked about our work because we don't talk about that with them anymore. And they asked me, I do a lot of work for Boeing. So they're asking me, how's it doing at Boeing lately? Because they've got a lot of issues and things. And I do workshops and seminar and career coaching and things like that for them. And they're just in my backyard here. And, it's so exciting. But at the same time, at Boeing, years ago, the assembly line, they'd have a person retire. And they would tell me this happened all the time. They'd have the little retirement note, left wing assembly, Fred Smith, and they put the note on the bulletin board and it had a piece of yarn and it would go over 3 months and they'd have the obituary. The person all of a sudden had no purpose. And I thought, no, it must have been 3 years. And they go, no, it was 3 months. And these people would die and they lost all their purpose, their passion, or whatever it might be. So to me, I just don't know if I'll ever bump up into that because there's always somebody else out there, which is why I guess I should knock on wood, but I just try to take such good care of myself because I want to be around a long time for both my sons and my grandchildren, but also to reach as many people as I can. Because when people tell you, and I'm sure this has happened to you, Brian, when people tell you, you changed my life, I mean, I can barely talk about it without choking up. because I feel so grateful to have been able to change my life and go from retail and do all this to venture on my own and go out and do this and become that gratitude guy. And what's the payoff? People tell me I changed their life. It's just a great feeling.
And there is the recipe for everyone that may not be an entrepreneur watching this show of why we are entrepreneurs, is because we are there to help serve others and help impact them in any way we can, whether it be directly, you changed my life, or you help plant a seed that took them down the path, that started them down the path of their life being changed, wherever that happens to be in their journey. That is the secret sauce of, I think it's the underlying reason all of us do what we do. And I know this just from doing this show and interviewing entrepreneurs from all over the world, successful ones, and they all have a similar theme, and that is they're here to serve others and get that wonderful feeling of helping someone else.
Yes.
And there are those that you think you didn't help at all. They don't seem to listen or absorb. And then, a month or two later or 3 months later, you'll see a post and they'll say, because of that person, I did this. Like, I didn't even know you were listening. Oh, this is awesome. So you just never know who's listening, who's not, and whose life you can impact. But if you don't do anything, if you don't move to change and do the course correction, you won't impact anyone's lives. And look, if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, no shame in that whatsoever. It is not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you that. It is a special thing. We're special, David, and I know you are for sure. But
thank you.
It's a special breed of person. That's why they're.
I have to tell you a sidebar on that. I think you had mentioned this offline about somebody walking out during the talk. So not long ago, I was in it's like probably 500 people, and I looked down, and here's a guy on his phone, and he's just like he's just punching away, and I just couldn't help myself. I said, "Are you on your cell phone?" And he goes, "No, I'm taking notes on the notepad." Sorry.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've done the same thing. It's so funny. As soon as you said that, I kind of knew where this was going, and I'm like, "Come on!" And I'm like doing it playfully, but also to help them with love. And then, oops,
sorry.
I had one. We were teaching an advanced course in neurolinguistic programming. I was doing this for my mentor's company, and I just remember this one guy was always constantly just staring out the window, and I'm thinking,
wow.
And I would call him out a couple of times gently. It's like, hey, are you with me? And he just kind of like give me a kind of a scowl. Like, yeah, like, what do you mean? And then later I would find out he absorbed everything. He listened to everything. Every one of us has a different way of listening. We have different ways, modalities. Some will look at you intently. Others will be looking down at their phone, but they might be typing in notes. Some are auditory. Right, learned by listening. Others are more visual, and they need to see the props and the drawing of the board. So you want to have all these things in play when you're doing coaching and teaching, because some people gravitate more to one of those elements than the other elements, and you want to make sure you hit them all. And it's just interesting learning all these things as I get older, and how to interact with people and realize, you know what, leave them alone. They're probably listening very intently, or have fun with it. It's either way. It's okay.
Exactly.
But that's really neat that you had that experience. So I want to actually, if you don't mind, before I let this get too far away, because you're just so daggone fun to talk to, is that what I would like to do is highlight your company and actually give you a moment to let everyone know exactly who is your avatar, who is your ideal client. Doesn't mean you can't serve and don't serve anyone outside of that, but who is your focus on? And then number two, what kind of services do you provide for that client or clients? Sure. And then number three, and I'll remind you if you don't get all of them back, because that happens sometimes, is if you can think of a success story or two that you'd like to share, that's the most powerful part of it, then we'd love to hear that as well. Would that be cool? I'll bring up your website and let it scroll as you explain that away.
Absolutely. And
Fantastic.
thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
The first thing too is just the overarching thing is thatgratitudeguide.com, which you can see on the screen, and that's the website. And so there's a lot of things you can access through there. You can order the gratitude journals through there. My main thrust is speaking. I try to do 1 or 2 talks a month, and that's currently the topic is called Neutralizing Obstacles Through Gratitude, and that's usually a 60 or a 90-minute talk. And then the next kind of thing that I do is coaching. And I do something called a 45-minute clarifying coaching call consultation, actually, which is free. And on that, you can get 45 minutes of coaching. And then I can kind of see if it's something you might be interested in actually moving forward with, but at least do some on the spot coaching. And then I sell a lot of the gratitude journals. And as I mentioned, they're on the top of the website too, and people buy those. And typically when they do my speaking, in most cases, well, maybe 3/4 of the time, they have they buy journals for everybody in the room. And so that's something that's really nice. And so those are the main things. And then Brian had mentioned the YouTube thing, and it's kind of exciting because I talk about persistence and patience, which we've all heard before, but it's so important to remember to be patient. And I recently, as you heard him say, hit 2,200 videos, 11,000 subscribers. And tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to hit 500,000 views. For people that have seen him, and I get paid. I'm a YouTube partner, and yet it's interesting because I did my first video in 2007. So that's been 17 years. Because people ask me all the time, well, how do I make money on YouTube? You're making money and all this. And I was thinking, so it's consistency, which we hear about. Anybody in the online space knows that the consistency is so important day in and day out. I do 1 to 2 to 3 videos every single day. And they're always there. And they're always 15-second ones, 3-minute ones, 4-minute ones, things like that. So it makes a big, big difference. But, and then as far as successes, I would say I have a couple of National Credit Management Association group here in Seattle that I've probably done 8 or 10 talks for that have been a recurring client. Also, I did a couple of talks down at Joint Base Lewis McChord, our local military base, where there was 10,000 soldiers. It was 5,000 soldiers at 10 o'clock and 5,000 at 2 o'clock. And that was one of my biggest talks ever. And as you, I'm sure, know, Brian, too, I mean, the more people you get, the more energy. Speaking of energy in the room, is contagious, and it's just infectious. And then I've had a couple of coaching clients. I won't, of course, say their name, but I've had them for 5 and 6 years that been consistent coaching us every month for an hour and just going over, and it's called the gratitude coaching. And then as far as the avatar, one of the things that to me is interesting is that I look often, and I think it's 30 to 60-year-old women seem to resonate more than anything else, but the men do too. And I've spoken down to junior high schools where the average age was 14 or 15, all the way up to senior centers where the average age is about mid-90s. And it's funny because I always remember meeting the 90-year-old people, and I asked them, what's the secret? What do you know now you would have liked to know at 18? And they always say the same thing: everything in moderation. And so I like that term and stuff. So it does, because it's gratitude, and it's important for everybody to be grateful for what they have and focus on their blessings and abundance. I just think it cuts across almost every demographic, and I feel very fortunate. And I mean, there's certain things: time, life balance, leadership, work-life balance, things like this that are, they're great topics, but they're more in the business world. This is professional, personal, it's everything in schools. And so it's just, the whole talk is about, I have one quick thing on the talk. My average talk is an hour. And in that talk, I don't do PowerPoint. So there's no slides, and I don't have my clicker, and the thumb drive is not working and that kind of thing. I make eye contact with every single person. And I probably do 8 to 10 exercises or activities on little cards and things that they can take home with them. So it keeps teaching them afterwards. And I'll just take this opportunity to give you a good example of this. Here's an exercise that I do that people love. And I tell them, go home, take out a piece of paper and a pen, or put it on a Word doc, and write down everything under this title, what I've got going on right now. So write down all the good stuff that you've got going right now. My wife is doing much better. We moved to Florida. I can see the ocean. I can see the Gulf of Mexico, I should say. And going down that my daughter's doing great. My son's doing great. And you make a list of about 15 or 20 things, all the stuff that's going on great. Mind Body Business Show is doing great. You list just all the positives. And if you're having any kind of a tough day, you look at that list, you'll feel better. And that's called the what you've got going on exercise. So just an example of one of the things I do during the talk.
It's so interesting that this is the topic with gratitude and everything. Oh, before I go any farther, everyone listening on podcasts that cannot see the screen, they're listening only. The website is thatgratitudeguy.com. Thatgratitudeguy.com. And you will see at the very top above the fold, we'd like to say, a button where you can get the Gratitude Guy's Daily Gratitude Journal, and you can go grab that. It's available on Amazon when you click that button. But interesting because there's a gentleman by the name of Liam Naden that was on this show some time ago, and he does video walks of, he's got an incredible lifestyle. He doesn't own a home anymore. He lived on a boat, he and his partner, for several years, and they would change boats and change countries and locations. And he had Wi-Fi everywhere he went. He was close enough to the shore. So he had this incredible lifestyle. He said he used to be very stressed out all the time, and he discovered the secret to not being stressed. He said, and that was, stressed people are those that concentrate and focus and spend time thinking about the things that are not going right for them in their life. When he started focusing on just the things that were going well for him, just like your gratitude journal example just then with that one page, and you focus more on that and practice it, he says he is 100% stress-free right now.
Wow.
And so everything you're saying is resonating with me from past others who have also discovered similar concepts. And it all makes sense. You know, we're all humans. We're all wired the same way. And well, not 100%, of course, but similarly, and we are all affected by the same thought patterns, whether it's good or bad. And so I thought that was very, very interesting that you brought that up. We have another comment. I'm going to check this out. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There you go. It's called What I Have Going On Right Now Exercise. Bob Hilberg has named it for you. I love it.
You got it. Thank you, Bob.
Yes. And a little earlier, he said, I choose to rather than I have to.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yes. So yeah, all of these, I mean, and you know, listening to this, if this is the first time you've heard things like this, you might think, that's a bunch of hooey. That doesn't work. I used to be that way about all this stuff. Anything and everything that had to do with mindset, you know, affirmations and anything that could help you get farther. It is all about the mind. What you think about, how you think, is giving you the results you have in your life right now. And so if your results are not where you want them to be, maybe it's perhaps a little bit due to some stinking thinking, I like to say, and maybe we can clean that up. And by we, I mean David George Brooke, you know, reach out to him. How would someone reach out to you to say, oh, it is that 45-minute free call? Would that be the perfect?
Yes,
segue?
That is the easiest one too. I put it in the chat, but David@thatgratitudeguy.com is my email, easiest way to get me. But the 45-minute chat is the best one. I just did a couple this week, and it was interesting because one is going to be a coaching client, and one didn't really need my help. I just gave her some on-the-spot coaching, as I call it, some things. She just needed to make a couple little changes and things. But that's the best way to connect with me and see if I can give you some help around gratitude.
Well, that's interesting. We had a different one. Okay. I'm going to put that up on the screen real quick. So David at that gratitude guy, gratitudeguy.com. Brian's going to correct himself. And if you don't mind, I'll put that out in the comments so people can just copy it right from there. Another reason to be on live. You can see these coming in live on the various, oh my gosh, it's going out to Facebook and Twitch of all things, YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Another Facebook. Yeah, it hits everything. It's awesome. And so are you, my friend. You are an awesome gentleman.
Thank you, Brian. I'm so happy. It's so much fun.
Yeah. And so, oh my gosh. Oh my God. I just looked at the clock. We have like 18 minutes to go. Are you kidding me? So this is hour one of our 4-hour show, just so everybody knows. I'm kidding. I could easily talk to you that long and longer, and I want to. Let's get Brian to rein it in here real quick. So thank you for that synopsis of your business and your avatar. And yeah, it's really neat that every age group can be and is affected by you and your presence, being there to speak with them or come to them. So anyone out there, if you either you want to learn more about the attitude of gratitude habit that David has instilled in so many people, and how to take that and really, really empower yourself. What about if you know someone else that you think could use that? Maybe they're very negative, and you know, just give a little suggestion. Hey, go watch this show. It'll be up on the mindbodybusinessshow.com after it's over. Just go to past shows, give them the link, and say, hey, go watch this guy, and then reach out to him if you so choose to. You know, don't be down there. But David is a resource to help people. Use the resource and do it with respect. You know, we're going to talk about the 45-minute free call here in just a moment as well. When you do schedule that call, be respectful of him. It's free. his time is worth a lot of money. So is yours. Both of your time is. Make great use of it. Write down questions before the call. Be prepared. Don't get on the call and like, I honestly don't remember why I even booked this call. Man, I've had that happen. I'm like, are you kidding me? Even with repeated email reminders and things. So be respectful of his time. At the same time, I want to say take action and book that call. You can tell, look, you've listened to him. You've seen him. You can, if you're watching, you can tell he is not one of those, what do they call those? Those slick tongued snake oil salesmen from back in the Western days. He's a guy that's going to embrace you and love you and help you if he can. And he's not going to try to hard sell you.
Well, what's interesting too, Brian, I was thinking when I mentioned I don't do PowerPoint. And a lot of people, you heard of death by PowerPoint. A lot of people, they put a bunch of slides and then they do it. And then I've watched a lot of speakers to try to learn how to be a good speaker, and the clicker doesn't work. And then they just read what the line says. And I go, can you just send me the slides? I don't need to hear you say this. But the thing that's fun about this, and it made me think about not only the clarifying the call, but the little, what we got going on right now, exercise. As I said, there's about 8 to 10 exercises during my talk. And so I incorporate those into my coaching too. But what's neat about it is you have all these little tools to take with you, because I'll pretty much guarantee anybody in the audience, and I'm sure you, Brian, too, you've seen a great speaker. You clap. That was really great. Maybe even a standing ovation. Ask me the next day what I learned. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
And so there's all these little things. There's little lists that we have you do. There's little cards that you do. There's different exercises. You can put it on your bulletin board, on your desktop, on your mirror, on your refrigerator, wherever it might be. And they're just those little reminders. So you're going to be still getting pieces of gratitude long after the coaching or the speaking is done, to keep you on the right track, because it's easy to get excited, but then get off track when you don't have the little reminders.
I mean, this is a phenomenal tip for anyone and everyone that's doing any kind of speaking. It could be on Zoom and you're doing meetings or anything like that. This is phenomenal to give them something tangible to do after the experience. And then you can add another step in there and say, get them on your email list and send them reminders. Hey, remember those index cards we handed out? How many of those have you done? Are you on track? Are you having difficulty? Are you having difficulty? Maybe you need a refresher. Give me a call. Schedule a call here. You could do all sorts of great things with that I don't see mainstream speakers doing. So that's a very good point, David. And you got me going. I love marketing. And I'm just like, ooh, what else can we do with this? And it's interesting you talk about the PowerPoint. My mentor had very few slides, and he would have one up there, and I'm like learning, and I'm taking notes because I'm going to be teaching it soon, knowing that, right? And I'm taking notes as fast as I can, and I look up and he still hasn't changed the slide. I'm like, man, how am I going to learn all this stuff? I got to have something to look at. And I'm writing. I look up, the slide still hasn't changed. He would be on one slide for 30, 45 minutes sometimes.
Wow.
And there wasn't no bullet points, zero. I mean, it was until we got to the point of giving the offer, and now he's going through the features and benefits but they were all there. He just went through it all. Anyway, I learned that's also very powerful. What you said is you're not worried about technical difficulties of your clicker battery going dead, or your Bluetooth going out, or I've had this happen, or the computer goes dead. I met a guy. I spoke with a guy. We both shared the stage. He went up, and then I went up, and then others went up, and we became really good friends. He came prepared. He had everything on his thumb drive. He brought his tablet that had his presentation on it, and he brought out the entire presentation printed on paper, slide by slide. And he did have an issue, and he had the backup plan in place. And I said, man, his name was Roz. Roz, that is impressive. He goes, yeah, I've been doing it for a while. It's happened.
And Brian, another tip is, just as we're talking about speaking, presenting, Zoom is such an important aspect of this, is anytime you're doing these presentations, to me, the exercises and the activities and that type of thing are really, really important. But anything that gets you engagement, give me the 5, give me the high, give me thumbs up, especially on Zoom. I did like 150 talks during the pandemic and stuff, and give me those. And then sometimes the Zoom thing will fly and go like this and make it. But anytime you're engaging the person that much more. And then what I found that was interesting, this was such a great takeaway. They come after the talk is over, they come to the table. I'm signing the gratitude journals, the other books that I bring with me, and then I have sweatshirts and other merch that say that gratitude guy on it. And so I learned as I'm signing, what was your biggest takeaway? 9 times out of 10, it was one of the stories I told.
Yes.
The exercises were good, but the stories are the ones that really, I love the story with Connor and baseball. Oh my God, I almost started crying. I mean, so think about that with your presentations. Remember to attach a story, have an exercise, have a concept, have 3 concepts, a teaching point, but have a story to attach to it, because that's what people really remember.
Like I said, 4 more hours, 3 more hours at least, we could easily. And you're hitting every point, like, my gosh. And you're right about engagement. Make it interactive. Get others to engage, not to actually take part in your presentation by having them, hey, look to the person next to you and say, "You're amazing." Say it out loud, and have these breaks of state. If you notice the energy level going down, do stuff like that, and you could get everybody woken up. Everybody, please stand up, stand up, stand up, and you get them to do something. And then they're reawakened. I don't know if that's the right way. So many things. Gosh, what else did you say? There were many things. There was one I wanted to really hit on that was really good. I know it was good, and that's not why I forgot it. See, someone's gonna say, "Well, wasn't that good if you forgot it?" It was awesome. Everything you said was awesome, and I love speaking. I love everything about it. It is so. The energy is how many times after doing an hour talk, David, are you like physically exhausted?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just, there's something about it. It's drain. It's a good drain.
Yes.
It's like the other day I did a workshop for Boeing. Now this was, even though I'm just a couple of miles from them, this was a 2-hour workshop nonstop from 11 A to 1 P. And I'm telling you, when that was done, and it was like 450 engineers, because I could see the little number up in the side, and their cameras are off, mine's on, and they're all looking at me. And another concept I want to make sure you understand is how gratitude can, and I just went, man, I needed to go take a nap when it was done. And it's so funny, because somebody said that to me once. It's like, it's almost less exerting to go out and dig a 60-foot ditch than to put a 2-hour presentation on. It's like, man, and everybody's looking at you, and so the whole thing, and you can't. It's like a DJ. You can't stop talking. Okay, I can't think of anything to say right now, so there'll be a pause for a while. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's the most unbelievably wonderful feeling of exhaustion ever when it's done. I'll never forget the first time my mentor gave me a full segment stage time. 90 minutes were our segments. And then we would give a break. And that, we always say the ear can only hear that which the butt can withstand. So we're going to give you a break. And so I did my first 90-minute, and I was like drained, because I'm a go-getter and I put everything into it. And we're having our meal after at the end of the day, in the evening. And I looked at my mentor, Mel, and I said, "You do this, you do the whole thing both days, all by yourself with a couple of speakers that come in to give you a break. But how the heck do you do this? I'm exhausted, and I just did one segment." And he just smiled and he goes, "You just learn to pace yourself, just like you said, moderation, right?"
Yeah.
And he was right. And you learn this over time. And I call it like seat time. When you're racing a car, it just takes more seat time. You got to be in that seat. You got to be racing. You got to be going out.
And also, if you're always listening to get tips, that's one of the things I think is so important. It's good to have content, but I will say tips, tricks, and techniques, or 3 T's as an example. And I know one of the ones I walked off a stage once. Somebody told me this, and I'm sure this probably happened to you. And I forgot this one key point, and I was just, oh my God, I didn't tell them about that with the gratitude piece. And then somebody looked at me and they said, "Hey, they don't know what you forgot to say." And it really helped me, because I was just heartbroken. Like, they know I forgot. No, they didn't.
Nope.
So
we stress so much. We put so much stress upon ourselves to make it perfect. It's so funny. I remember what I was going to say. It was stories that are so important, because that's the key to every aspect of communication as human beings, whether you're selling someone, whether you're teaching or training them on somebody, whether you're writing it down and making a book out of it, because I'll guarantee you that someone else has written about the topics that are in this book.
Right.
I guarantee it. What makes it different are the stories, and maybe point of view, different lens, but the stories, you just said it, they are more powerful than the bullet points, than the content, than missing that one important element. People want to hear the stories, because why? They relate to it. And we're humans. We love stories, good or bad. I mean, they're just that powerful. So any book you want to write today, I've heard this multiple times. I guarantee it's been written about. And so people go, why do I want to write one then? It's because it'll be unique because of your stories. They're either yours that you made up, or just your vantage point on things that is different, slightly different than others. But so go out and write that book.
Yeah, exactly. When I first started out, I remember using the starfish story, and it'll make a difference to this starfish because, and then somebody says, we've heard that story before. So I thought, dang. And so I started, I made a list of concepts and then the story that went with it, just like you did in your book. Those are my stories. I lived them in the concept, and nobody can steal those from you. So that's what makes it really unique.
I love it. I love it. Oh, gosh, I keep looking at the clock. I got to stop doing that, but I need to because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We may go a little bit over our 1 hour because we have a few things left that I really want to give to our audience. And that two things are gifts. Remember, one lucky person will win a 5-night stay to a 5-star luxury resort. These are all over the world, and you get to choose from a list of them. And this is a bona fide vacation stay. In other words, when you walk through the front door, they're not going to grab you by the hand, pull you down into the basement, strap you to a chair, water drip torture you, and sell you on a timeshare. No, none of that. No, they don't even know that you won this vacation stay. They don't know that you're not paying for this vacation stay. I know this because I have a friend that's done it twice, and each time he said it was an amazing trip. So stick with us. Those of you watching live, you'll get an opportunity to enter to win in just a moment. But first, David has a gift that he's talked about a little bit, and I want to reiterate it and give him the opportunity to explain a little more in depth and where and how to get this gift, how to actually retrieve it. I'll bring up your website one more time, and I'll let you drive the mouse. Tell me where to go.
I think you have the link. I saw the link on the show sheet, the 45-minute gratitude clarifying consultation Zoom call. And there it is. And so there's a link to that, which takes you right to my calendar. And what that is it describes is a 45-minute call where I get a chance to get to know you, understand a little bit about your story, figure out some of the pain points you might be dealing with right now, give you some on-the-spot coaching, possibly 10, 15 minutes of some tips, tricks, and techniques. I just mentioned that a minute ago that could help you how to apply gratitude. And then if you're interested, get a gratitude journal, sign up to do some coaching if you'd like or whatever. But that 45-minute call is free. And I'd say half to 2/3 we'll probably just have the one call, and I can help them out. Maybe a third end up being coaching clients. But I'm so passionate about helping people. And one of the things that I feel so strongly about this is that this whole life thing is such a roller coaster. It's this big up and down series of twists and turns and dips and so on. And it's my mom once said to me, where does it say life is fair or easy? It's neither. And so it's not. But when you get the gratitude, and in this case, a call like this, it can really help you to get a better view of your life and your situation. And as I say, any pain points. And I'm pretty adept at helping people make some pretty quick distinctions and changes within the hour, within the 45 minutes that can really help them. So that is my gift to you, is that call. And that I look forward to meeting everybody on those calls as well.
And do I have the right area displayed on your website? Because that results in an email being opened.
Let's see. I saw it on my, hold on. Would it work to put it in the chat?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Absolutely. If I don't seem to have access to it. I want to make it super simple for folks to get in contact with you.
Yes. Hang on a second here.
So as you do that, that's awesome. So 45-minute gratitude. So again, remember to treat this with the utmost respect. Treat it as though you spent, say, $497. Is probably worth 10 times that, but just treat it with respect. And
so it's in the chat.
Treat David with respect too, for sure.
Thank you.
All right, that's a big one. All right, so we'll put that up in just a moment, and I'll leave it on the screen for a bit. Let me pull down, do a little cleanup. You're getting ready for the next quick little section here. Oh, I had a feeling. Well, there it is. That was the reveal right there. So gift banner, and let me put that in. Quick. We'll do it right here. It's a long URL, and I'm going to literally read it out for everybody. So those that are listening on podcasts. And so where you want to go is to calendly.com. So it's like calendar, but Calendly, CALENDLY.com/that gratitude guy, all together, no spaces and no capital letters, / the number 45 hyphen minute, all lowercase. We're almost there. Question mark month equals, and then the number year 2024 dash or hyphen 06. So I'll read it real fast now. Calendly.com / that gratitude guy / 45 hyphen minute question mark month equals 2024 hyphen 06. I hope I never have to do that again. 06. Sorry. 06. Whew. I'm exhausted. Like I just stood up and did a 90-minute segment right there. Let's see. I'll drop that in the comments as well. We'll get that out so everyone can just click on it. That is watching on one of our avenues. Yep. We got some YouTube. Good. All right. And then giveaway number 2. Thank you very much, by the way, for that, David. That's amazing. 45 minutes of your time. And here I am. I get the blessing of having an hour with you. And I feel
thank you.
I feel like I am the luckiest person because I get to talk to people like you. And I do this every week. And it's like getting training in depth. It's unbelievable. It's such a blessing. All right. And giveaway prize number 2. I promised everybody that if they stuck with us to the end, they could get means to enter to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort, compliments of Reach Your Peak. I'm going to put that on the screen right now for those of you watching live. Here's the thing. Write it down. Do not go there yet because we have a final question to ask David, and you're not going to want to miss it. So what you want to do is write down ryp.im / vacation, all lowercase, ryp.im / vacation. Write that down. As soon as we go off the air, then you go ahead and enter to win. And I just heard a text message. I wonder if we have people already jumping the gun. I got to check. That's so funny. All right. So after the show is over, because David, I like to close every show out with one spectacular question. I'm calling it spectacular because over the course of, I've been doing this show for a little over 5 years. In the very beginning stages of that, I was asking this question on occasion here and there, sprinkling it in. And it started really waking me up because the answers were just profound. They were amazing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to end every show with this because it's a great way to hit it with a high note, finish out, go out strong, all that good stuff. And so the cool thing about this question is it's not profound because of the question. It's profound because of your answer. And I already know it's going to be profound because I've done this a long time. And the really cool thing about it, there's 2 cool things about it. One is there's no such thing as a wrong answer. Oh, no, it's not a test. It's not a quiz. And in fact, the other cool part of it is it's the exact opposite. And that is the only correct answer will be yours because it'll be unique to you. And one final little piece of it is if it takes you a microsecond to come up with the answer, or if it takes you several or many seconds, guess what? That is also perfect because it's your answer. And one quick hint is that your answer, depending on the length, may end up being a chapter in an upcoming book that will have the title of the very question I'm about to ask you. A collaborative book with all the past. Oh, it's going to be powerful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So hint, hint, wink, wink, 2 or 3 word answers. That's not going to make a very big page in a book. So feel free to expand a little bit if you so choose to. All right. So with all that wonderful buildup, are you ready?
Ready.
Yes, of course he is. Here we go. David George Brooke. How do you define success?
How do I define success? For me, I would break it down into 2 parts, personal and professional. And for me personally, I define success as the mental and physical and emotional health of my 2 sons. Because I have one of the exercises I didn't do, it's called the 100 most memorable events of your life. And I have people fill out and do homework and come back a week later. And I think that at the top of mind is Connor number 1, Kyle number 2, in terms of the most memorable events of my life. And there's 98 other things. And so professional or personal success to me is how happy Kyle and Connor are. And I raised them by myself because my wife passed away. And I feel like the luckiest guy in the world because I'm a father, number one, and I'm the father to 2 Rockstar Sons, as I call them. And professionally, I define success. This goes back to a question you'd asked earlier, Brian. I go back to how many lives I've impacted. And when I see 500,000 views on YouTube and 10,000 soldiers at the Joint Base military base and all those things, and I see more and more people that have bought gratitude journals, I just realized the more people I impact, the more successful I feel, because I feel so strongly about my topic of gratitude. And I mentioned earlier, gratitude turns what you have into enough, and it helps you focus on your blessings in abundance. And it's just to have success personally with my 2 sons and professionally with impacting all those lives. I feel kind of like you said earlier, Brian, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world, because I stepped away from the corporate world and decided to become a speaker, and I've never looked back. And impacting those lives like that is just the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. So that's how I define success, both personally and professionally.
Yes. And just like all the others, incredibly profound. You want to know something interesting, David, that I've been doing this a long time now, and there are no 2 people yet that have answered that the same way.
Wow.
It's amazing. And one thing that is common, which I'm so proud to say to everyone watching and listening, that no one person ever said that their reason for success or their definition of success was because, what they thought it would be was earning X amount of money.
Or sure.
Acquiring certain material things or wealth. Not one person, because the individuals that come on this stage, this show, like yourself, are veterans that have experience in entrepreneurship, in business, in life, and understand that, back when I was 20, I would have said money and a Lambo, baby.
Exactly.
That would be my definition of success. And the cool thing is, as we grow, as we age, as we mature, that definition, if I ask you this again, say 5 years from now, I guarantee you it will have some subtle differences, if not major ones.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And so that's why I love that question. It's so powerful and profound. So thank you very much for that wonderful answer.
You're welcome.
It was exactly right. It was perfect.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I don't want to do this, David, but, out of respect, not only for you, but also our amazing audience, don't forget, enter to win. We're about to sign off, so get ready, ryp.im/vacation, and then go to thatgratitudeguy.com and be sure to schedule that consultation. You'll see the link, the Calendly link in the comments below if you're watching this anywhere on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and many more. That is it for us on behalf of the amazing David George Brooke. I am your host, Brian Kelly of the Mind Body Business Show. Until next time, please go out and do 2 things. Please, just 2. Number 1, go out and do everything you can to crush it in your business. Why? So you can serve and help more people to achieve even more greatness. Number 2, and above all, the most powerful one of all, is to a person, please be blessed. That is it for us. Take care, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.